But there's so many holes in the statutes that have been broken, bent, changed. There's nothing at all that looks good, because it looks like you break one, and then in order to stop that one, you break another one, and you just keep breaking them. We've got it all in paper. It's here. The statutes have been broken. So in February, we're doing all this discovery. I'm looking at things and going, God, is this because they don't know any different, or is it just because they're just doing it their way? So you've lost my trust and faith in what you all do. Not because maybe you didn't do it on purpose, but it's not right. And what we're here complaining about is, if you're going to do things, do it in a format that's fair and equitable for everybody. Because we know we pay taxes. We've been paying them for years. And we'll continue to pay them. So anyway, we go on through and we find out that Mr. Becker's fired. And I'm not mad at Bob. Bob's another guy just trying to make a buck. I get it. Okay? But his numbers are not good. And I'm going to stop for a moment and show you something. I have in my possession the list that you all on the county board got when this all started. It's every piece of property in Mattoon Township. It's here for the liking. And I got to ask you something. I'm looking at this list, and there's over 700 parcels here, 700. And I go down here, and it's all real good because it's Bob's worksheet. This is where we start, okay? When I look down here, these numbers bounce from anywhere from 140 to 383 to 211% to 265, 143, 215%. All I'm trying to tell you is, wasn't anybody awake on the county board to say, why are those numbers everywhere? Shouldn't they be a little bit closer? This is not even manageable. You had this list. It was yours. Why weren't you asking questions about it before it turned into a tax bill? Where were you?
There's no way of knowing
You didn't look at this list.
individually who has
Sure.
done what to what property.
It's all here. Yeah, it's got it all down here. It's got a description and a name, and the old value and the new value and the tax bill number.
And I
Tells you-
have no idea who has updated
Oh, you
what
don't know
buildings,
Summers
what
Nissan
properties.
Building? You wouldn't know where that's at over in Mattoon?
I'm sorry, what?
Summers Nissan Building, you wouldn't know where to find that? You wouldn't be able to find Casey Summers Nissan lot?
I don't know what they've done for updates and
You had this. You had
but what
this.
value have they added to their properties since it was
Well,
last
I'm
assessed?
asking you, the values are way all over the board. There's no the variations is so much that it doesn't even make good sense. And here's the worst part. When we get these values and find out that he's not qualified because he's not done the work, and he admits it in the letter that he's not ready to do mass appraisal, which is what this is, we find out that the numbers are everywhere, and when the appraisals come in, they don't even come close to what they are. So here's the problem. You can sit here and tell me, oh, go get an appraisal and go through the steps. But why don't you start using numbers that are correct to begin with? These are fake numbers. They're nowhere close to where they need to be. And you wonder why I get upset? I've been 6 months over here listening to you do nothing. You haven't done anything. These people pay the taxes. They're willing to pay the taxes. What I'm asking you is, why are you turning a deaf ear and turning a blind eye to things that are wrong when you had them in your possession? What's going on? This is not little bitty dollars. This is lots of money.
People's livelihood, and no one's against paying taxes like Rob said, but I want to say this much. You're not looking out, you're not elected by the taxing bodies, you're elected by the taxpayers. So it's in your best interest to look out for our interests. All we want is transparency, all we want is honesty, and do the right thing. Why can't we, if like Mr. Kraft said, if there's a way of rolling us back, why not start over? We're pleading with you. We don't want to go to court. But that's where this whole thing's heading. We don't want this. It's a small community. Why can't we just start over, do it the right way, hire the right person, do it the right way? And you're not going to have angry taxpayers because you know what? You're asking us to pay for the mistakes that you're making.
Mr. Sanders?
Okay, a couple of things. I didn't see that list until it was already published, I believe, and already in it. I agree, I would like to look at that list.
Why? Why didn't you see that?
I don't know why I didn't see it. I'm not.
Well, it was sent to the county board. It says so.
And the one that I had.
Because Corey, it comes from the assessor's office, and that eliminates political control over the assessment.
Okay, there's the answer. I don't look at it either. Okay, I mean,
So
secondly,
none of you county board
Secondly-
members even looked at any of the assessments
No,
or
we're not
understood
allowed
what
to
was
look
going
at
on?
it. We are to be separate from the assessor's office.
If that's
I
the
don't hear
case,
that.
if that's the case, then what you need to do is hire someone who knows mass appraisal and do it the right way and make it fair and equitable, and not just try to do it your own way.
And
Follow the rule of law, do it the right way, and then you won't see us, we won't have a leg to stand on.
If some of these same numbers were to pop up, if, just saying, that if we went back and redid this, and some of these numbers came back,
Then that's
the
the way
exact
it
same
is.
numbers,
Then that's the way
it's
it
been
is.
16 years.
you would say that,
Something's gotta
there
go
would be,
like that.
there would be no argument.
Now, here's what
And
I'm saying.
I'm only asking, because, we're not assessors, we don't go out and do that.
Here's the fairest way to do that. The fairest way is a massive appraisal.
I understand, sir.
And that means everything is a level playing field.
No, and I totally understand, but this, Mr. Becker, unfortunately, like you said, tough spot. He
Yes,
took the
yes.
job. I
Unqualified.
talked to another appraiser. I just asked him, I go, could those numbers have popped up the exact same? If he would have done this, he said, absolutely.
He's wrong. And
So-
I'll show you, I've had the appraisals.
So, okay,
I've
that's,
got appraisals to say that's not so.
On your property.
every number is, with,
I'm not
every
saying
number is
every
wrong,
number.
everything
Okay.
that jumped that high
I'm
is
not saying
wrong.
every number.
Why is this
Okay.
board afraid? Why
No,
is
no,
the
I'm not-
government
I'm-
afraid just to do the right thing and hire a mass appraisal, do a mass appraisal with a qualified someone who's got experience doing this in other counties? We have nothing against Mr. Becker, but his own bid agreement, he agrees he's never
I
done it
understand,
before.
but some of these
But
numbers
I'm
could,
saying,
some
what
of
is
these
your
numbers could.
reluctance?
Mr.
If it's
Grasso,
their
we are
garden.
told we cannot do anything. Understand
We
that.
gotta go down that road again. Mr. Kraft, Mr. Kraft just gave you,
Okay, Mr.
And
Grasso, what should I do?
What
then? You tell-
statute
You
would
tell me
we
what
go
I
to
do.
to find out if we can actually roll this back? I mean, we have been told by our legal counsel that we can't do anything.
We're not
If you guys
attorneys.
are aware of where to find it, let us know.
You had
And
the
we will
print
look
wrong. We gave it to you to begin with.
I know, we
That's
found that
all
also.
wrong. It's all
And we
technical.
wanted to cancel it. There were several of us on this board that were looking for a loophole. I admitted it to Mr. Donasso. Several of us did. But what we were told was we cannot do anything as assessor. Now, I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. I'm telling you what our legal counsel is telling
So
us.
we're being told.
John,
Can I interject real quick?
Yeah.
First of all, and I mean no disrespect, Mr. Bauer, but he's your advisor, he can't tell you how to vote.
I have never told them how to.
I know that, I'm just reminding
Right.
these guys, because they keep
Okay,
falling back.
okay, but,
They keep falling, and I wasn't saying you were telling them how to vote.
okay, but I'm not an attorney.
I'm just saying, the legal advisor, you guys do the voting, and I never said you told them how to vote, just to be clear.
But has there been one vote that the
You
rest
guys
of
can
us
put
vote
it
is
on the
back?
agenda and have an up or down vote. He wasn't hired properly, they can't be contracted, he wasn't hired as an employee properly. Anything he did is null and void, just like if somebody hired Bob off the street to be a deputy and he wasn't qualified and didn't go through the school and he wasn't hired by the sheriff and he arrested 20 people, you're not going to prosecute the 20 people he arrested because he wasn't really a sheriff department employee. The same can happen here.
Mr. Allen?
Thank you, Chairman. As a constitutional republic, we're governed by laws put in place by our founding fathers and our elected officials. Where does the public turn when public officials ignore the law? I'm going to change things up here a little bit. Coles County ETSB 911. Reporting reflects $8,379 spent on legal services between 2013 and 2015. By law, your state's attorney is your legal counsel for ETSB. They're not allowed to hire any outside attorneys. Any idea if those legal fees were for attorneys? I'd ask that you look into that
What
because
time period did you say that was?
this was 2013 to 2015, the most recent ICC reporting. They reflected a total of $8,379 on legal fees. That's 911 money that is not permitted to be spent on legal fees because by law, you're the representative for the 911. And I can get you the AG's opinion on that in the case law. The same ETSB reflects $1,602,270 in cash reserves. That's a 3-year average growth annually of $319,249. I challenge this board and the state's attorney to provide any statutory authority for your ETSB to bill for emergency services, emergency dispatch. I find no language in the law that permits the billing nor those agencies to expend money to be billed for dispatched on emergency calls. Growing reserves, 1.6 million, and questionable spending points to a lack of oversight. Mr. Bauer, I informed you and this board of missing weapons over 2 months ago. I noticed you mentioned that in your report tonight. To date, not one person has asked me a question for the evidence I have in that regard. I spoke with CMS. I've got my FOIA from there. I'll be happy to share. They don't reflect that things have been returned last time I checked with them. So unless they've been returned in a timeline I'm not going to disclose, it'll be interesting to see where that ends up. I raised the issue of illegal gun sales by your former sheriff several years ago. The focus of the state's attorney was to ensure all police agencies cease the illegal practice. It was one thing to ignore the illegal sale of those guns, but quite another to ignore the total disregard for the court orders to destroy those guns. Do court orders matter? Anybody believe they don't matter? Well, your former sheriff violated a whole bunch of them. Never mind the fact he was selling guns illegally, but the courts gave him instructions and those weren't followed. In regards to your assessment issue, I think everybody's covered that pretty well. I'll be real brief on it. You've been given advice by your attorney. In this same meeting, your attorney said that you guys have no control. Revenue code gives you control. So the advice you're getting, I live and die on a daily basis with, says who with what proof. I say it all the time. People tell me things and I challenge it for my own well-being, because all too often I'm told things and nobody validates it. So when you get told something, ask for case law, statutes to support it. The county took the position Mr. Becker was an employee of the supervisor of assessments after we exposed the statute does not allow the supervisor to contract with someone to do her job. Now the position is she hired them. I would argue that she hired them outside the authority of the revenue code because this board has the oversight authority, therefore she's committed official misconduct. Can anyone explain why this claimed employee is submitting invoices? Employees do not submit invoices to get paid, especially when they're marked, thanks for your business. Why a 1099 citing non-employee compensation instead of a W-2? I understand the arguments, but they don't hold water. Mr. Chairman, you confirmed the county does not have a contract with Mr. Becker, and I thank you for that. You made that clear at the last meeting. I think that's been clear at this meeting. That being the case, we demand action be taken to recover all payments on invoices falsely presented to this county and paid with taxpayer funds. If you're not familiar with false claims, you might want to brush up on it, as invoices submitted without a valid contract for those services are in fact false claims. If you truly want these people to believe they are being represented properly, you have to start following the law as well as enforce the law. Thank you.
Jeff Hudson?
Pretty much everything has been covered that I wanted to say, except for someone on the board referred to, or just take your appraisal or your new assessment to the review board and hash it out with them. Well, that takes thousands of dollars for more than one or two people to do that. The review board, in my experience, has been very unfair. They do not accept a professional appraiser that's been in business for multi-years on commercial property. They do not give that person credit at all. They try to compromise and negotiate a different price than the fair market value. None of us here are paying taxes. We all want to pay taxes on the fair market value of a property. But it's unfair if any mass appraiser comes through and comes up with a market value that's higher than what it was sell for. If the review board doesn't accept the satisfaction for the taxpayer then has a right to go to the state. I have been through one of those processes. You have to hire an attorney And it takes 3 to 6 months or longer for that to happen. And if you get 20 or 30 people doing that, you're talking about thousands of dollars. And in my opinion, very unnecessarily spent. Now, in the case that I was involved with, the taxpayer won, the review board lost. I was ashamed to have to go through that expense and process. We want to pay fair market value, taxes on fair market value, any day.
Ralph Beck?
He passes.
Anyone else? You want to talk?
Yeah, I just have a question. I haven't made all the meetings, so I'm kind of catching up. But I've got some questions that have come up. I don't know who Rebecca is. He's not here. Okay. Is he a one-man band? Or does he have assistants?
He doesn't have any assistants.
Okay. So has he gone to each property that he has assessed? Or has his computer system done it?
He hasn't gone, no. The township assessors did site inspections.
Okay. Okay, I guess part of my question is, if the township assessor, I've worked for a township for 21 years, so I have an idea of what goes on here. When you have a mass assessment, and you're going around to all these places, you don't just wing it, you don't just guess. Usually you have an assistant. Somebody's got to be there either to write or to help measure or, to do there's a lot to it.
Well, the Manatee Township assessor does have some assistants.
Okay.
And they were out looking
Well,
for new
I'd be
construction.
curious to know, did they go to every property? I would be really curious to know.
That was my understanding. That's what they were asked to do.
I didn't catch your name, I'm sorry.
My name is Corey Stumeyer,
Corey Stumeyer?
and I'm older than him, so I was Corey first.
How do you spell Corey?
C-O-R-Y.
With all the trouble and complaints we've had at the board of review and all the complaints that we've made, I was very shocked that you were willing to reappoint somebody back to that board, especially when several in this room have gone through that process. And I would suggest you watch the video of Rob Perry's board of review. To be honest, I walked out of there and thought that thing was a shit. Yeah. And I'm being nice. And I just can't believe you wouldn't at least throw us some sort of bone and at least get some new blood on there, but you decided not to do that either. And that's what I'm saying. We've been coming here for a long time, with all due respect, and we feel like we have gotten nothing. And that's why we're at where we're at.
Can I just say a real quick thing? I know, Corey, you said you hadn't seen these, so I'm assuming
Oh,
that.
no. I didn't see them at the time when that happened. I mean, I've seen them,
Okay.
but mine didn't have addresses, just had parcel numbers.
Well, these don't have addresses.
He said
But-
Casey Summers.
Yeah, well, this
description.
one, this one says, nursing home behind Mr. O house.
Paul Terrace.
Well, that is behind Augie, I can't pronounce his last name,
Right.
but his last name starts with an O. We all know who Augie is. But that's the kind of stuff that was written down to describe some of this property. It's kind of squirrely. I mean, they don't know what they're assessing. Dairy Queen on DeWitt. There's not a Dairy Queen on DeWitt. Now, there was 54 years ago, but there's not in 2016. I find it really unusual. There's a lot. It's just kind of crazy. I don't get it at all. C21. Anybody know what that is?
What's that? Office building, probably, C21.
Who knows? Don't know. Vacant lot, vacant lot, vacant lot.
But the
vacant
numbers
lot,
are
vacant
there.
lot.
The big numbers are there.
I'm just saying that if they're going to do an appraisement, I would figure that they might have a real, some sort of
Real assessor?
a real assessor, but maybe something that really told you what it was. Of course, obviously, if you have your number, you would know if it was yours or not, but I just found it really like a joke. It was just kind of crazy.
Ralph?
You know, the problem is, the guy you guys hired didn't even look at our stuff. I mean, like I told you, I know you guys are tired of hearing about the $50,000 pole barn. He put 107 on it. I went to the county, to the board review, they thought they did me a favor by lowering it to 70. I go and spend money to have it appraised, barely makes 50. I go in and talk to them, and they still leave it at 15% above the market value. And when this guy asked me, would you be happy if they come back at the same price? Heck no, I'm not gonna be happy because it ain't worth it. Mr. Becker, he knows. I see him, he won't look at me. I mean, every piece of commercial property I've done, he's got me. One appraised for 90 on Lakeland Boulevard, he came in at 217. I go and have it appraised, 103 maybe. I go to the county board, 117. Why ain't I happy? This guy that I hired done it for 40 years.
Okay, Corey, well,
I'm still back on my subject. I'm just going through my brain. I'm trying to sort this all out. So the township assessors, each township assessor, they are the ones who went and appraised all the property.
They went, did the site
Mr. Becker
inspection.
did not do any of it other than the computer work, correct?
Yes.
Okay. How many employees are in your department?
And 5 in the outer office now, 3 of them are new.
Okay. I guess my question is, why did we hire him when the township assessors are doing the assessment, when all that has to be done is the information needs
They're
to
not
be
doing
entered?
evaluations, the assessors aren't, they don't have that software.
Well, I guess my question is, why isn't it the people who are hired, that
They don't have
we
the
paid,
software.
why aren't they doing it? And I don't work in the department. It's an honest question. And I don't expect an answer. I'm just throwing it out there.
well, township assessors do not give value, they just tell, I'm asking,
They
tell what's
property.
going on with the property.
Turn in a
Or new
worksheet,
pool, new, and then new value, new
make a
guys value.
recommendation if they have one, and then we value it.
So what do we need Mr. Becker hired for if the township assessors are doing the site assessments, the data's coming into your office? Why isn't that the job of your office to plug those numbers in and value the property?
We do.
So what is Mr. Becker's role in all this? Why do we need to hire and spend $115,000 for him to do something that we have salaried people in the county that are supposed to do?
You say that, but.
I'm asking, I'm
No,
asking a
but
question.
my question to you is, none of those guys are certified appraisers. So your argument about certified appraisals would, you
he's
can't
not-
use that argument then against she's
So
doing it.
you got no one in the
He's not doing
office that's a certified appraiser?
There's not one person certified appraiser. You don't have an
Well,
appraiser's
why
license.
would that be?
But if all being done is entering,
Mr. Bill.
information into a computer program.
But you're saying that
We got a
he's not
point.
certified. Your point,
That's right.
your point is he's not certified. If you're letting them to do it, I'm not disagreeing with you.
Did she say that the other day? Property, he didn't send it. She said she was like. Mr. Becker has the property in the reassessment district in Matthew Township. He has it, it's in his bid agreement with the county. He's explicitly, we've got information that says you were supposed to reassess those properties. So who did that if there's no one in the office that's certified to do it?
I did it, I am.